Hi, I'm Donna and this is Charlotte. We're from Pimms Needles. Thank you for joining us. This podcast is brought to you with Point North. They're supporting our project, which is called Blooming Life.
And it's through a fund called Enriching Later Lives. And it's all about providing information for women in midlife to help navigate really difficult situations and kind of facilitate positive change.
So thank you for joining us, Ruth. It's really lovely to have you here, especially on our first podcast. I mean, what better guest could we have?
I know, we need it.
Bless you.
We need the confidence boost, don't we, today? Feeling a little bit nervous.
Oh, you'll be absolutely brilliant. Really, really good.
So do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about your business and what you do?
Yeah, so my business is a Feel Amazing therapist because I think everybody should feel amazing and we don't. And I do that in many ways. So I work with businesses and we do wellbeing sessions. I work in schools with the children, which is my passion. I see clients on a one-to-one basis. I speak at public events, anywhere that I can get that feeling that you have to feel amazing, because as we said, we don't anymore, do we? We're juggling, especially women, we're juggling so much, whether or not we've got the kids' swimsuits ready and, you know, what we're going to have for tea. I mean, seriously, how many times do we go, what are we going to have for tea? And you look in the fridge and you're like, I don't know. Egg and chips, close the door. So it's just getting that feeling, and I love it when, especially clients who come in and they say, "You're never going to do it." You know, give me a challenge, and then 4 weeks later, they're happy and they're like, oh, "Don't know how you did that, Ruth."
Amazing. So, Was there something kind of pivotal that happened in your life that sort of, I suppose, where this kind of business idea came from?
Oh, yeah, it's huge. So my business is 5 years old next month, and it was through COVID. So I've worked in business since I was 16, always have, went straight into a YTS because I'm that old, there was no apprenticeship. It was a YTS. And I went straight into that, always been in business. I worked for a mobile phone company for 10 years. One of my little claims to fame is I was one of the first people to send a text message.
Wow.
I know, because when I started, there was like, I was selling phones at £25 a month and 50 pence per minute. So that's kind of one of my
Do you remember what the
accolades.
Text message said?
They were set. They were only set text messages as well. So I think it was like a hello, like how are you type of thing. Yeah. It was a very basic text message. But yes, I remember it. I remember being in one room and I remember the managing director being in the other, and it being extremely exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my advent. So I was there for 10 years, got a bit like itchy feet. And one of my customers was Isotank, which is a transport company in Darlington. And I said to the MD, I'm thinking about leaving. And that was 24 years ago. And I'd done a whole range because there was no job for me. There was a job created. And then we hit COVID. And I've got multiple sclerosis.
Right.
So I had to shield because of the medication that I was on. And I hated it, like most people do, that I couldn't go out for a walk. And, you know, I think the pivotal moment was I sat in B&M with Lily, my daughter, FaceTiming me to tell me what Zofloras were there and like what crisps and stuff like that.
That was the highlight of life, wasn't it? Zoflora.
Zoflora, yes. And she came out with Black Orchid instead of Spring Lily. But from that, my mental health got really bad. I've been in a very dark place before, during a divorce, and I could see it heading that way again. And it wasn't, obviously, it wasn't good. I wasn't interacting well with the children. And so instead of going into therapy, I'd heard about life coaches. So I found a life coach on the internet. She's based in Essex, and she absolutely changed my life.
Really?
She changed my mindset. She changed how I think about things. She got me into like wild water swimming. And she was absolutely brilliant. And I just thought this is what I want to do. And at the time I was a Body Shop area manager at the same time. I had my phone in my bathroom cabinet going, ooh, look at this vitamin E wash. Ooh. And I was like washing my face live on Facebook. And basically just chatting about life. And then people would tell me how much they enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, I can do this then. So I did a complete and utter retrain and trained to be a life coach and a therapist. And it is fantastic. It is, oh yeah.
I think what's amazing is that something so brilliant has come out of a dark place, really, isn't it? And sometimes that happens in life, doesn't it? We just go through these situations where we're feeling we don't know what to do, and then something happens and it completely changes our direction.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the age of, so I was in my 40s at the time, late 40s, and I think at that age, when you talk to people, it's really common. You know, children have grown up, right? What is it? Where am I going in my life now? So yeah, I think that's a common thing, but yes, and a very big, brave thing as well.
It's a massively brave thing.
It is, really. And do you tend to find that, what kind of age women do you support, or do you support women and men as well?
I do, and I actually support from teenage.
Right, okay.
So teenagers at the minute are really struggling with emotions and how to deal with life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and I'm guilty of this. I model coddled my children, so they are struggling within life, and, you know, other people are. So I'll work with children all the way up to ladies in their 60s and men as well. But lots of my main client base is ladies, and ladies around about that 40 to 60.
Yeah,
60
I think
mark.
when the hormones sort of kick in, it does affect your sort of mental health and your security. And I think everything that you think that you know about yourself is just thrown into question, isn't it? Where you're doubting your every move. You're sort of thinking, did I say the wrong thing when I was there? Have I upset somebody? Have I forgotten something? Yeah. And there's all those doubts that are there, aren't there? So do you think that women's needs are very different to kids and to men's needs?
There's always an underlying theme of confidence, and it's different between, like, you know, who that client is, but it is always confidence. It's as you said, have I said the right thing? What have I done? Have I done this right? And it is just a very common theme, and also your internal voice, your oh gosh,
inner critic.
I forget my word. That's the one.
That, I always think of you when I hear that. I know that's something that you're really strong on, is how to silence your inner critic. I'll tell you what, I'll pour the tea. I'll be mum.
Okay.
The pressure's on here.
Pressure is on. Oh, it looks a good colour.
Yeah.
It looks a very good colour.
Looks a perfect colour.
Yorkshire tea bags as well.
You can't go wrong with Yorkshire tea bags, can you?
Don't make me giggle mid-pour.
Trying desperately not to get it on the tablecloth.
You will be in trouble. There you go.
There we go.
Done. Successful.
Now there's no pressure in drinking it.
So tell us a little bit about that inner critic. Like, what does that sound like? How does that show up? You know, when we're feeling inconfident, what is it? What symptoms, if you like? How does it show up?
It shows up like, have I done that right? Now, and there's a lot of things like, oh my God, can't just believe you've done that. Can't just believe you've said that. Oh, as if you've done that. Oh, have you seen the way that you look in that outfit? Oh no. And it's that, like, that's the inner critic. It's like, of all the things that we've done, questioning ourselves, but in like a negative way, because we've never really been told not to. Nobody's ever told us about this voice that comes into our head. As children, it's just there, and nobody says ignore it. So you just go through years, and it's just natural to have that inner critic. But really, when you're thinking it and you're hearing it in your voice, it's worse. And then it just becomes the norm. And that's the thing, it's the norm.
I suppose the more you listen to it, the louder it might get as well. Like anything, the more you indulge something, the more it happens. So is that something that people find as well, that it sort of takes over?
Yes, yeah, it does. And I've got an inner critic. My inner critics still go, but I'm good at stopping them. My most inner critic is around my business, and I've got this. That's my affirmation. If you go anywhere in my house, you'll see it on my mirror, you'll see it on my dressing table, in my office. So I keep myself reminded with affirmations and things like that. But yeah, I mean, once you've got one in your mind, it becomes kind of yours.
Because I think growing up, you always heard that thing, didn't you, that you'd have your sort of your good critic on one shoulder and your bad critic on the other shoulder, and you had to try and make a concerted effort to listen to the positive side. So do you find that affirmations do work in that sense then, in terms of like helping you silence that inner critic?
I do, and I just think they boost your mood as well. I do love a good affirmation, but I think affirmation should come from you rather than somebody else. I can tell somebody you're powerful and you're strong. that's fine. But if you're not believing that, so it's you coming up with like, I do not procrastinate. Do you know what I mean? And I am busy and positive and things like that. And I always have I'm amazing all over. And as they go in, then that does kick in. So affirmations are really, really good, along with tips on silencing, the inner critic, because our good angel and our bad angel is generally our subconscious and our conscious brains. And it's like, right, Anna, a minute, you can shut up now. I've registered what you said. However, do you know what? When you're looking in the mirror, it's looking at the good stuff. So it's looking at like, oh, I quite like my boobs. So instead of looking down at like anything else, my tummy or my legs, I'm like, oh, look at them. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of just drifting the eyes up to what it is that you like about yourself. And that could just be your eyes. Lots of people struggle to start with to find something that they like about themselves. I've had people we've only got to the ears. And that's all I've liked about themselves. And then a message like, sat in, like, get my hair done, and all I can look at is my ears. But because she was looking at her ears, that automatically goes to other parts of your body, and you're starting to look at them in more positive lights. And then in a couple of months, she had a pink bikini on and was in whatever club it is in Ibiza dancing.
That's amazing.
I suppose, like you say, it's changing that cycle, isn't it? I think the more you think them negative things, they creep in, don't they? And then the more you think them positive things, you see the positive things. So I suppose it's really shifting your brain to just almost trick it a little bit by telling yourself all of them positive things every day. And then it starts to go in, and that's the thing that comes first, I guess, rather than the negative thing.
Yes, it does. And it's hard. I am not going to lie. It's not like me going, oh, yes, all you need to do is just stop thinking negative and start thinking positive and put some positive affirmations on your mirror. It isn't. it is difficult. But the more you do it, the more it then becomes easy. So like if I do say something negative, I'm like, hang on a minute. No, I don't think so. And then I change that into a positive. So I stop it, go, I don't believe you, and then put it into a positive. And that does take time. It really does. It does take time.
You've got to be really strong with yourself, I think, don't you, in that sense? And if you're feeling quite low, that's really hard, isn't it? So when people come and you start to work with them, how long do you tend to work with them? Is it weeks? Is it months? I
tend to say 4 weeks. Between 4 and 6 weeks, we make a huge shift. We work really, really hard. And I make a huge shift within that period of time. And I sometimes think I shouldn't be so good at my job. I shouldn't do it in that length of time because I'm forever looking for new clients. And then some people do monthly top-ups. Some people do fortnightly top-ups. Some people will just come when they feel that they need it, and everybody knows when they need to come back. And then we just do the top-ups, but between the first 4 to 6 weeks.
And is it a similar process in a way that you with all clients, or is it very different depending on how they're feeling and what their main concerns are?
Yeah, it is. It's really different. And I don't want to be cliche, but it does all come back to your childhood or a certain event that's happened in your life. And it doesn't necessarily mean childhood. It might be like a divorce or a death of somebody close. And that is like post-traumatic stress. And we often think of post-traumatic stress as just being for the ambulance service, for armed forces, for police and things like that. But actually, we all have post-traumatic stress at some point in our lives. We just don't see it as that. So then when we work on that kind of frees it up. So I think of it as like, if you think of it as a hose pipe, and we all get kinks in our hose pipes, don't we? Well, our hose pipe's our life. So the water can't flow because it gets stuck at one point. So then you unkink that, so then it can flow to the next bit. So then you unkink that till eventually you've got like your water, which is really energy, is flowing. So we unkink, but it's never the same. I never go, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other, because every client is different. So during a session with a client, I am constantly thinking about what is going to be best for that client and how I can help that client doing whatever strange and woo-woo thing that I do.
It is fascinating. I mean, I can imagine if somebody's coming in and pouring their heart out to you and telling them about their childhood trauma, that it's quite cathartic for them just to have that conversation and to be heard and to be seen and to be able to lay it on the table. Because I suppose a lot of people keep things like that bottled up, don't they?
They do, yeah, they really, really do. And some people don't want to talk about that. They think, oh, I'm not going to talk about that whatsoever. And then all of a sudden in this little room, which is quite energised, it all comes out. And some people don't need any therapy whatsoever. They just need to come in and go, Ruth, my week's been absolutely, utterly terrible. Right, okay, I'm done now. See you later. Bye, see you next week. Because you just need to offload. And sometimes you need to offload to somebody who isn't your friend, you know, who's not invested in your life, you know, type of thing.
I think that's really important, isn't it? Because I think sometimes, like, as mothers, as daughters, as wives, you know, you don't want to burden other people with, well, you feel that way, don't you? I don't want to burden you with something that's happening to me. You know, you're trying to keep everything going, aren't you? And I think just having that completely separate person who you just feel like has no judgment, I suppose, on what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah, and it's the judgment. People can tell me anything, and I've heard an awful lot of things. But there's no judgment on my part, because that's your life. That's why that's why you've come to see me. And I'm very good at, once I've finished with that client, I can close the door of my office, and I don't think about that client until, and that's not being rude to any of my clients, but I don't think about them until the next step, when they come in, and they're going to come in with something completely different probably the following week. So yeah.
And I suppose, like you say, it is that next step, thinking about that hose pipe with a little kink in. You don't know what's coming next, do you? And people maybe come in with this is going to be my problem, and sometimes it's not the thing that really is the issue, is it? So it's like one little step at a time, and then that reveals something different. And
such a common thing. We don't do kinks in a row. People will come in and go, right, I'm going to talk to Ruth about this. This is what we're going to talk about. And then all of a sudden we're talking about something in the past, and they go, well, I wasn't going to go that route, but actually that's where I needed to go. So your subconscious tells you what it is that you want to offload. And my first session is always 2 hours, because I think we need to build that relationship. And once you start talking, once a client starts talking, there's a lot of information that comes out. And I think it's important not to be watching your clock all of the time.
I think it's interesting, like, coming out of the other side of it, if they've had sessions with you and they're feeling a lot more confident and they're sort of speaking in a positive way about themselves, do you think it makes them notice other people around them that maybe don't share those values and maybe that have affected the mental health and brought them down a little bit? Do people sort of change in that way?
Yeah, they do. And some of the tools that we use is like smiling at people, you know, that randoms, which is fab, because you smile at somebody and then smiles are contagious, aren't they? But that other person can go, where do I know them from? I must know them because they've smiled at me, because we're not used to smiling at people. It's like taking a dog for a walk and people saying hello. I lived in Saltburn for most of my life, and then when I bought my first house at 21, I moved to Mask, and the only people who spoke to me were my next door neighbours. Well, I was used to everybody knowing everything about me, do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh, okay. And I must have lived there for a year and not had any interaction with somebody other than, as I say, my next door neighbours. And then I rescued a dog. And I walked out, and like the first thing somebody said was morning, and I was like, well, they're not talking to me, are they? They've already spoken to me. And I didn't reply, and then somebody else said good morning, and I was like, oh, it's the dog.
Yeah,
this is what it is. And I'm not quite so sure. I took my dog for a walk this morning and said good morning to 4 different strangers, because I went at a different time, so you know, we've all got our routines, haven't we? And it's because we've got dogs. Well, why do we just do it with dogs? Why don't we actually do it with other people? So then by passing those tools on, because they're usually challenges, every week you'd get a challenge. So by passing those tools on, then they can pass them on to somebody else. And there's, you know, there are little bits that people do pass on, and it, you know, the love goes round, and we start to help people feel amazing. And obviously there's no better feeling than knowing that you're amazing.
I love that, how contagious it is.
I know, it is. When you actually came and you did a talk for us a few weeks ago, and one of the things that kind of resonated with me was when you were talking about little things you've done throughout the day, celebrating and noticing those little things Because I think we do that thing to ourselves where we go, oh, well, these are all just the things that I have to do. And we just do them and we take them all for granted. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so again, and this is, I don't do everything with every client, but this is one thing that I do with every client that comes. There's a couple of things, is to be proud of yourself for what you've done. So as an example, right, today we're talking about here, we're doing podcasts, you know, you're going to do them, you're going to talk to me, you were excited and nervous at first, and it was like, right, I've done that, that's my job. Right, I'm going to go on and I'm going to look after the kids, or I'm going to go on, I'm going to do my house, and like the day's gone. But you should be really proud of this. This is something out of your comfort zone. I was nervous before I came on, which is good because that's the excitement. You're out of your comfort zone. It's brilliant. So you should be proud of yourself for that. So today, I'm going to be proud that I've sat here, but I'm going to be very grateful for you too for actually asking me to come on. So when we put in our proud things, we also put what we're grateful in. And if we can do 3, and, you know, you might be proud today, Donna, because you've made that cup of tea and you haven't
spill a drop.
And you didn't spill a drop. Exactly. And that was a big thing. You know, she was under strict instructions. So that's something to be proud of, but we wouldn't necessarily do that. You know, I get proud if I've fed my son by 7 o'clock, right? It's a miracle because it's very rare. My son wonders what's going on. And now I'm like, yes, get in. I've done it. I've done it by 7 o'clock. And I didn't do egg and chips. I actually planned what it is.
Oh, I love egg and chips.
I've planned what it is. You know, tonight we're going to have chicken. So I've got that plan. So I feel, you know, proud of myself for doing those things. And it is the small things. It's maybe making somebody a cup of tea. Maybe it's giving somebody a hug when they've needed it. Looking back at your day, and for me at the end of the day, means that you go, yeah, I did all of those things. And then at least 3, which is what you're grateful for, you know, that day. And it might just be, I'm really grateful that the traffic lights turned green when I was late. And, you know, I am grateful for somebody making me a cup of tea. Really just looking back and examining it. And you're like, actually, today was a good day.
Yeah.
Because it's a very British thing, isn't it, to go, oh, I've had a really bad day today. Oh my God. And it's maybe one thing during that day that's made it a bad thing. Like you might be at work for 8 hours and you've had one email that's really upset you. That's one email. How many other emails have you had? So why are we letting 10 minutes of our day or half an hour or an hour say that the whole day was a bad day? Because actually either side of that, it wasn't. And I think that's really important to get through, but we are used to, because it's normalised, isn't it? That's what we do.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is changing the norm. But yeah.
And I think giving yourself permission to, I was just thinking about yesterday, it's been my birthday over the weekend and I was quite hungover yesterday. And it was one of them days where I didn't do a right lot. I actually didn't leave the house. And at the end of the day, you're sort of in that little funk with yourself where you're going like, oh God, has it been a wasted day? And I said to my husband, no, we've done loads of washing. We've hung it out on the line. It's dried and it smells lovely. I even said, God, it smells so lovely. You know, we sat in the garden for half an hour on a reclining chair in the sunshine with the sun on our faces, and you know, just little things like that. You could easily go down that rabbit hole of being so negative, like I should have been doing more, I should have been busy. But actually what has been really nice about this day, and giving yourself permission to just
definitely
to be. I think that's a hard one. What do you think about giving yourself permission to do those nice little things?
And have days off. It is difficult. And when I've had a MS now for 13 years. One of the things that gets me now is fatigue, really, really bad fatigue. So to give myself that permission to do that day was really difficult to start with, because, well, I should be doing this and I should be doing the other. And I was a very active person. I was actually training to do the Great North Run. So I was out running every day and I couldn't do that anymore. And it is difficult because we think we should be doing something. So, and I do something. So Friday night I went out and did silent steppers, the best thing in the world ever. Yeah. Oh my God, it was amazing. Headphones on, music, like cracking music, banging. and you're singing out loud. So anybody who's looking around is like that, okay, there's like, 30 women that are all out of tune singing along. But it was really, really good. But it tired me out. So on Saturday and for most of yesterday, I couldn't move. I was really struggling to get up. And I was like, okay, this is just a day for today. But over Easter, my friend read 2 books. And she was like, I read 2 books this. And I was like, how on earth do you get a chance to read 2 books? And she was like, well, I just did. And I was like, oh. She went, when is the last time you had a day off? Like a day off from not doing any work, not doing any washing, not running around after the kids, not walking the dog. Literally a day for you. And I was like, honestly, I can't remember. And I can't remember. So she's challenged me. So on May the 17th, I'm not going to do anything. And it scares me a little bit because I'm like, right, what can I do? And in my head now, I am working out what I can do on my day off where I'm not doing anything. Then I know what I'm going to do because I've already worked it out in my head. But then I'm not going to be able to, it's really complicated because I can't do anything that I've actually done in my head because I've worked that out. What am I actually going to do on this day off? Like, I can't go to a spa because that's something that's planned. Like, I can go for a walk as long as I'm not taking the dog. Yeah. So May the 17th is like, it's coming up.
D-Day.
Yeah. I look forward to hearing what you do.
I know. How strange is it?
Yeah.
But so let's think about the last time we had a day off.
Because I think you do sort of every weekend, you have that mental list of all the things that you want to get done. And you sort of, I berate myself for the things that I haven't done rather than, like what you say, congratulate yourself for the millions of things that you have done. Yeah. So I can't imagine what I would. I think what's nice about being on holiday, I've just obviously come back. That's the thing, you wake up, and I just thought last week, it's so blissful not waking up to an alarm, because every day I wake up to an alarm and then it's at this time I've got to do this and at this time I've got to do that. Yeah. And when you're on holiday and you wake up to no alarm and have nothing to do, it's just blissful. Yeah. So I think that we need to get a bit of that holiday vibe at home and try and practice that. So
I think on holiday what is lovely is everybody around you is in that same mindset, isn't it?
Yes.
So you feel really like validated, like it's fine, I can just do this because look, everyone's doing that. It's hard, like when you're thinking you might be having a day off and the people around you might be having a day on, because we go into that guilty mode again, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We really do. And like you were talking about berating yourself for not doing things on a weekend. My advice to that would be write your list and then just choose 3 things. Like an easy one, a hard one, and a medium one. And do your hard one first and then decide whether or not you want to do your easy or your medium one. And then you've done what you've planned to do. And if you want to do a 4th thing, you do a 4th thing. You want to do a 5th thing, you do a 5th thing. But all you had to do that day was 3. I've ticked those 3 off. Don't do anything that wasn't on your list, because we're all guilty of that, aren't we? I'm just going to go off and clean the bathroom. Ooh, look, something shiny. I'm going to hoover instead. And then I can write that on my list and then I can tick it off because I've done it and it wasn't on the list in the first place. So do 3 things that are on your list. And then anything after your list is a bonus, and then that's something to feel proud of yourself for because you've done your 3.
I think I'm too ambitious with my lists. I've got 20 plus things on them.
But just choose 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just feeling accomplished, but not like putting yourself under too much pressure as well.
Yeah, and don't have things like cleaning the skirting boards or, weeding or something that we really like. Does it need doing? Do you really need to clean your skirting boards? Who looks at them? That's a Christmas thing, obviously, isn't it? Yeah. At Christmas, we clean our house and we do our skirting boards, so Father Christmas comes down and examines them. But is it necessary? Are we putting things on our list that are going to serve us? Or are we just putting things on our list that we think need doing, that we know are never going to get done and are going to constantly be on that bottom of the list no matter how many times you rewrite it? Take it off.
Love that.
I do. We need to take that on board, don't we? Forget the skirting boards.
Yeah. Nobody looks at them.
One thing that we did really want to ask you about is women's sort of confidence within the menopause. Like, what happens to them? I know it's a humongous topic. What happens physically and emotionally that really throws us off during the menopause, I suppose, or changes the way that we we are or feel about ourselves?
Yeah, it's obviously it's hormonal. You know, I'm menopausal, I'm perimenopausal, and my 16-year-old son will go, "Oh, Mum, it's the menopause." I'm like, it actually isn't. Just do what it is that you want to do, and then I won't have to have this tone of voice with you. Do you know what I mean? But he's got this excuse that it's the menopause. And we do, our fuses do become that little bit shorter. It is hormonal. We come to this time of life when, what is it that we do? So, and especially, right, when I was growing up, when my mum, when my nana went through menopause, she was old, like really, really old when she went through menopause. Well, she wasn't, was she? No. She was probably about my age. And that was a big thing for me when I started going through it. I'm like, that, I'm only 50. I can't be going through this. So that's a thing. And our lives have changed. So, you know, our children may have been grown up. We might be single and we might be doing new things and we've got new interests. And that's all different. That's all stepping out of our comfort zone. Our inner critic decides that it's like, it's party time. And it's going to start even more than what it has done before. So we've really got to put things in place for that. And yeah, we just think, whoa, what's going on with my life? Why can't I do this? I don't want to go out anymore. I want to be in my comfort zone. And my comfort zone is really nice and it's cosy and it's with my blankie, and I don't want to see the world because I'm nice and happy here. And it's scary outside. And we get into that routine, and it is breaking that comfort zone, which is quite hard, because we don't know where we're going. We're hitting a point, and as I say, our emotions are going all over because our body is going through so much. All of a sudden, you know, we're absolutely mafting for no reason whatsoever, just because our body went, let's throw this in the mix. You know, I'm talking for women, and I say incontinence is a massive thing. We don't talk about it, but it is part of menopause. It is part of growing old, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm having to wear pads. And that's a big thing, especially for women. But we have to accept it because that's just part of what our lives are. But when people talk about menopause and perimenopause, it's all about the hot sweats. It's all about the night sweats. It's all about the brain fog, which is crazy. We don't actually talk about the intimate things, because there is a lot of intimate things, and people, when we don't talk about it, think, oh, that's a little bit scary, but it all happens. And brain fog, wow, it's absolutely crazy, isn't it? You're like, right, I want to say that word, I did it earlier, and you picked in, and that was really good, because I was like,
and it's one of your words as well.
I know. Exactly.
It's like your name is synonymous with you.
Yeah, and you're like, what was it that I was doing? And then that kind of like makes us feel, oh God, I can't even remember that word. And then we berate ourselves for not doing it. And we need that acceptance, like you've said, it's that acceptance that this is actually happening to our bodies. Our hormones are like literally all over the place. And we need to accept that this is what it is, and it is more than hot flushes, and it is more than brain fog. Because that tends to be what we talk about. So this is like really hitting your inner critic. Your confidence is now doing something different. Like your body has changed, you have changed. So it's getting that confidence to do something that is different, and now just part of your world, and accepting that it is part of your world. But again, it's hard. It is acceptance. It is looking at what it is that you like about yourself. It's the affirmations kicking in. It's kicking the inner critic in. It's a lot of self-development that you need to do, but it's recognising and accepting that that's what it is, and not letting your teenage children use it as an excuse. I think that's a big one.
And looking at it like it's a new chapter, maybe at the start of something new.
Yeah, and that's scary, isn't it? Because it means that we're old.
Well, you're only as old as you feel like.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think what's lovely is sitting around like this and talking to girls about it, because I think as much as guys try to understand, it is quite difficult when they've not walked in our shoes. But I think when you sat around with friends and you talk about it, and you're like, oh God, that's happened to me, and that sort of makes you feel like it's normal, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and that's really important, and that's a really good thing that we're talking a lot more now about perimenopause and menopause. It is very, very much open and within. I think Davina McCall did a really, really good thing. But as I say, for me, my nana had it. You know what I mean? She was going through the change.
Yeah.
And it is the change, isn't it? Because we are changing, and we call it menopause now, but it is essentially the change. And she was dead old when she did that, and I'm in my 50s, and therefore it's obviously the world has changed. Probably isn't, but yeah, that's how we perceive it.
Yeah.
And as people, like, we're all within that age group of our families when they went through it. I don't know if you did, but they were old when they went through it. And I'm not old.
My mum was quite young, actually. I think she was in her 40s, but I said to her a few years ago, I think I'm perimenopausal. She went, there's no such thing. The only menopause exists.
Yeah.
You're not there yet.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as perimenopause. And I said, there is. And she was like, wasn't invented when I was. So it's not happening. Get on with things. I was like, all right, Mum.
Under the carpet, sort of cloak and dagger, like we don't really discuss it, just buckle down and get through it, was the attitude that I think I not grew up with, as in my mum sort of saying that to me, but just in general, it wasn't something that was really out there, was it? It was just something that women just sort of got, persevered through, and maybe they came out the other end and,
Yeah, and they went through it. Now we've got so much, and I suppose historically HRT was linked with cancer, and that's not it now. And lots of people are sometimes a little bit nervous about taking it, and there's a lot more, not medicines, but remedies that you can do. There's a lot more natural things that you can take, which really help, which weren't, I suppose, in those days. But yeah, it is kind of perceived that, well, we're just going to get on with it.
Yeah.
Not that it's realising that it's
impacting every part of your life, really. Who wants to suffer in silence? Do you know what I mean? We don't want to do it.
And you've mentioned the cold water swimming. So just before we finish, could we just touch on that? Because have you found that's helped you in any way?
Oh, absolutely amazing. My mental health, my pain, the sheer exhilarate. That word, I can't do it. That's the one. It's just the dopamine hit. It is absolutely amazing. And there was a period of time where I didn't go in the sea, or I didn't do cold water, and then I realised actually, because I was in pain all of the time, and then I realised actually it's really good for my pain because I'm in loads more pain now, and it's such a good feeling to do that cold water. I mean, I've set up a cold water business. I have a cold water business because of it, because people say I'd really love to do that, but I don't want to go into the sea, but I don't want to go into a river. I don't want to wear my swimming costume. So I actually have a cold water business that does the confidence.
Right.
We do a meditation, a guided meditation. By the time you're hitting going into like the cold pod, you're there, you're ready for it. And I'm there every step of the way. And it's a small group. It's never more than 4 people, because I want other people to see the benefit that, this is, and whether it's a cold shower as well, it truly, truly works, and especially for mental health, lots and lots of people start it with pure mental health, and then, you embrace it.
I was doing it for a while. I had a cold water dip pod in my garden, and I was doing cold showers, and it was a point when I was really struggling mentally, and I think sometimes what you can't do mentally, you can do physically. That's kind of how I felt like, you could be brave, just get in there, do it, sit there for a few minutes and get out. And I think even just accomplishing that when you couldn't accomplish loads of other things because of where you were, that was like such an achievement.
Yeah, and it's difficult. I find going in the cold plunge thing harder than going in the sea or going in the river or a waterfall. I actually find that harder. And it is a massive accomplishment. You might have only been in there for 30 seconds, but you've done it because you didn't want to do it. But you've done it, and you're getting that adrenaline. As long as you go underneath your shoulders, you've got to get your vagus nerve. But
yeah. Wow. So kind of in summary then, like for anyone that's listening to this podcast who's maybe struggling, I suppose, at any age with confidence, any tips that they could start to implement just on a daily basis as a starting point, what could you advise for them?
Bizarrely, but it's very small, just sitting back, putting your shoulders out and your chest out, it totally changes your demeanour, and it makes you feel like much more important, so to speak. Your affirmations, but make sure that you do them yourself, and stopping this inner critic. Now, I have this, I've done this with you ladies before, about your inner critic. So you find 3 things that you like about yourself, and that can be really hard, but it can be your smile, could be the fact that you're a good hugger, you're a good mum, whatever it is, 3 things that you like about yourself. When your inner critic kicks in, remember me going, stop, hammer time. Because you smile and because you laugh and you're like, oh God, yeah, and it's broken that negative state, and then you're putting in those 3 positives. So as crazy as it sounds, and I really should trademark it, just remember me going, stop, hammer time, and then
need the trousers
3 things in. I know, I need to learn the dance. That's what I need to do. Yeah,
and a back to front cap. Maybe.
Yeah. Just bought a cap actually. So it is remembering me doing the stop and the hammer time and the 3 things that you like about yourself, and putting them in, and that then changes again your whole mindset. But just remember, you are amazing. Mm-hmm. What we do is amazing as human beings. It really, really is. It isn't just the norm. We are truly amazing at what we pull off, and whether or not that's having a day not going out, that's fine. You're amazing for letting your body do it. You know what I mean? And we,
all them baby Guinnesses.
I do love a baby Guinness.
Justified. Thank you. Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing interview, and I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Thank you. And we'll pop your links and stuff in the comments as well, so people can stay in touch with you. But thank you. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for
being amazing.
Yes. Thank you.